This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Jamie Glazov Moment. Recently, with my own eyes, I'm watching the suicide of the West, watching and I'll say it, the Muslim invasion of Europe. Yes, and that's not racist as the left is saying that it is. I'm not referring to a race of people. I'm referring to people who are part of an ideology and a culture that is incompatible with Western civilization. There's something that I want to narrow in on tonight, my friends, something that's very much on my mind, and that is the sentence, "But not all Muslims do that." And we're constantly hearing this as if it somehow exonerates or takes a problem away. So what I'm referring to here is ISIS is screaming from the rooftops that we are camouflaging our terrorists as refugees and sending them into your territory. They're announcing this. This is what's happening. Also, we know that the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these refugees that are coming in, it is obvious that many of them are good people. But it is also obvious that many others are part of a culture that sees women as inferior, that sees women having to wear the hijab, and if they don't, then there's a right for these men in those cultures to rape these women. This is Sharia law. This is jihad by rape as well. They don't believe in freedom of speech, Sharia, Islamic law. There's laws here that many of these refugees are following that's incompatible with Western civilization and culture. So there's a suicide happening right now. And what I'm interested in is how the left, we see it in our higher literary culture, we see it in the mainstream media, in academia, also in Hollywood. But not all Muslims are like that. And so there was even a news report the other day. They showed this Muslim girl that's disabled in a wheelchair, and how grateful she is that Western Europe has taken her in. And this is the way the media slants it. So this is what's happening. There's one poor disabled girl, and we have to take in these tens of thousands and hundred thousands of refugees. But let me say this. It is a given that obviously not all Muslims are anything. Not all people are one thing. However, if there are 20 people outside of your house that are refugees, and several of them, as a fact, will rape children, and they have an ideology that they believe that they will rape young girls, and you have daughters in that home, and there's a few of them, but there's 20, 30 of them outside of your house. Do you invite all of them into your home with children in your home? Because not all Muslims do that. That, my friends, is the mentality of the left, that we will sacrifice our own children, our own society, for the sake of a utopian ideal. It is a given that not everyone is everything. It is a given that not everyone that is born into a culture and religion follows the teachings of that culture and religion. But many do, and that is the problem. What I want to narrow in on this Jamie Glazov moment is exactly this mentality that's killing us. For more than a decade, I've been dedicated to raising awareness about Muslim girls that are the victims of female genital mutilation. And that's happening to 6,000 Muslim girls a day in our world. It's happening because there's 5 specific hadiths in Sahih Muslim and Al-Bukhari that mandate this, that inspire this. Muhammad is also quoted as saying, "Cut but not too deeply. Look at the reliance of the traveler." And this is why female genital mutilation is occurring in the Islamic world. The way that we stop this, the way that we prevent future victims, is to have these teachings repudiated that the Islamic clerics and imams and muftis point to when they do what they do. But how does this help? Oh, Glazov, not all Muslims engage in Islamic female genital mutilation. And that's been the argument of many people that I know. Not all Muslims do that. But I never said that all Muslims do that. I'm interested in the Muslims who do it. And what I'm narrowing in on today, my friends, is this mentality, not all. Where does it come from? Very quickly, it's a camouflage. It's a leftist tactic. The left overall says not all Muslims because they cannot accept that there's an adversary culture and religion that's a threat to the West. They don't want to accept that. It happened under communism. It's happening under Islam. You see, because the left wants to create its own utopian paradise on earth. Everybody's going to be equal and everybody's going to be the same. And so they can't accept the truth that there's an ideology of Islam that's contrary to Western ideology that we need to protect ourselves against. I watched a little mini commercial, or it was a little documentary the other day, of the need to get rid of masculinity. And there were all these wimpy men in this commercial or whatever it was, and they were saying how important it is to get rid of masculinity and femininity, and then we're all going to be one and blur together. This is the left, ladies and gentlemen. It's about erasing gender and race and all the differences between human beings, and before you know it, there's Maoist unisex clothing or the burqa. It's a way that the left wants to make themselves gods and to create this utopia, but the way to get there is to completely wipe out what really is humanity and the human race. That's why Mao killed so many people. That's why all leftist experiments kill so many people. What I want to finish here with is these sentences of not all Muslims do that is exactly what led to Mao, exactly what led to Stalin. It paves the way to totalitarian regimes taking power. It leads the way now to what we see in terms of what jihad is doing. Whenever you see these excuses today, when you see the refugees pouring into Europe and people saying not all Muslims do that, that is their tactic of blinding all of us to the real threat of jihad. And I will say that the left in this way, it's moral degeneracy, and the left, this is just, I would say that you leftists, any of you watching, you're moral degenerates because you're enabling and empowering totalitarianism and tyranny. And ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye out for these leftist arguments, and let's discredit and disempower them. We'll see you on the next Jamie Glazov Moment. Good night.